Hi there, good morning or good afternoon. I just logged in a little bit early because I like to be available in case people have little glitches or challenges getting used to the Google Hangout and the Webinar Jam format for the program today. If those of you that are already on, thanks for showing up. And you should see in your upper right an offer, and if you want to click on that, that's the handout for today. And also, if you could just send me a message through the chat and just confirm for me that you can hear me and you can see my screen okay, that would really, really help me so that I'm not just staring at my computer, talking to my computer, looking a little nuts. So I will wait on you guys for some messages. There is a little delay with this product, but everything is being recorded, and I hope to be able to interact with you throughout the webinar. So as people come on, just try and grab that handout. You should be able to click that link. It should open up a PDF. And also, if you could message me through the chat and just confirm that you can hear me and you can see me, you can tell me hi or whatever you want to tell me, where you are, how cold it is, how warm it is, all that kind of stuff. So we will hang out here for a few minutes in the Hangout, and we'll get started around 10 Pacific time. Those of you who are joining the room, we've got a lot of people signing up and logging into the room. If you can hear me, let me know. I've gotten a few messages. Also, let me know that you're able to click and grab that handout for today's webinar, which will be starting in about 4 to 5 minutes. And if you have any questions about the Hangout and getting hooked up and how we're going to communicate, let me know. But just looking to find out who you are, where you're from, if you can see my screen okay, if you can hear me okay, and if you're able to grab that handout. And thanks already to all of you guys that are letting me know that. It's kind of the fun of the webinar always, is just wondering what's going on the other side, since you can't really hear people and see their expressions. Oh, great. Hi, Donna and Richard and everyone else. And it sounds like the PDF situation is working well from everyone there. And I'm glad everyone can hear me okay. I won't start for a few more minutes. We do have over 150 people signed up for today. And since I am by myself, you can imagine it can be a bit daunting if a lot of people have technical challenges as I'm trying to get through the material. So I hope you will be patient with me as I read through any comments or questions in the chat box as I am going through the presentation. If we do get disconnected, if your internet goes down, if mine goes down, I hope that's not the case. We will come back to the same link afterwards. If you've got to go, that's fine. A couple of hours after the webinar, you'll automatically get a link to the whole recorded version. So if you wanted to look over something or hear something again, you'll get that link to see that recorded version. So let me repeat my mantra of the last 5 minutes. For those of you coming on just now, grab your handout by clicking on that offer PDF on the side for today's webinar, and just confirm or let me know if you've got any questions about the format, any technical stuff, things like that. We should be getting started momentarily. For those of you just coming on, the people that have been on for the last couple of minutes, they're probably tired of hearing this, but thanks for coming, and make sure to just grab that PDF, click on that link on the side of your screen, and you should be able to grab the handout if you'd like that. And I'm going to be getting started in just a few seconds. Let me check out. Message me if you've got anything. I'd love to hear where you're from, what you're up to, things like that. As I mentioned to the folks already in the room, we have well over 100 people sign up, I think like 150 plus. So you'll have to be a little bit patient with me in case I get wrapped up in these messages or questions. But I'm hoping to just leave most of the questions to the end unless they're right on point. And so in that way, the rest of you don't have to kind of like wait while I'm reading these messages and things like that. So it is 10 o'clock, and I do like to get started more or less on time. And as you can see here, I will probably repeat one more time my welcome greeting in a minute or so as people are getting started. So yes, you can ask me questions in the chat section throughout. As I mentioned already, the handout is available to you, and you can download the slides at slideshare.net / Melissa Zavala. So I always have the slides for all of my presentations, whether it's a live workshop or something that is recorded, like today's webinar. You can grab those at slideshare.net / Melissa Zavala. And as I mentioned, everyone who signs up, whether they showed up today or not, does get a link to the replay, which if you want to watch it, that's great. If you want to trash it, that's fine too. Good morning, Gord, how are you? So lots of people, lots of sweet messages, and so we're going. So you figured out already, about 10 or 15 of you, that you can talk to me through the chat menu. The rest of you are welcome to talk to me through that as well. And today we're here to talk about some hot generation leads, hot lead generation tips and tools for 2016 and beyond. Really focused in 2016 on helping agents build their sales pipeline. And I'm going to give you some ideas for how to do that. Those of you that know me know that primarily puppy dogs love to eat at the same time every day. They love to go for their walk at the same time every day. And I found that following those processes and being as kind of rigid and routine as maybe when you're training a puppy dog really helps to build your sales pipeline. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. One of the things that came up in 2014 is that there was this huge study done by Oxford University, these guys the last name's Frey and Osborne, where they found that job automation to computer, no big surprise, threatens the US workforce. And so they did this whole algorithm math thing, which is way beyond my pay grade. And what they found is that jobs all of these jobs are computerizable, and we better watch out. So for example, as part of this study, and this is from Bloomberg, this graphic, as part of this study, they found that a loan officer, the probability that their job will be automated in the future is 98%. All right, and it goes down from there. Taxi drivers, 89%. I guess that would be driverless vehicles, or now we've gone to Uber, so we've gone kind of a little bit in that direction. Lawyers, however, only have a 3.5% chance that, or probability of automation. As part of the study, this is just a component piece of it, they found that real estate professionals have an 86% chance of automation. So clearly, we want to avoid that, because you feel like, oh, I don't want my job to be automated. Obviously, we've seen travel agents have gone, we don't use travel agents, most of us anymore. We go online, we use Expedia or Airbnb or things like that. So we don't want to be like that. Please kill me now. We want to really focus on how we can continue to strive embracing automation as opposed to having it destroy us as real estate professionals. So, okay, and let me, so the best way they found to generate leads is to provide some value, okay? Because leads obviously become prospects, become customers, so we need to provide some value. And so today, we are going to talk about that. tactics for creating a lead generation master plan that provides value, that continues to generate leads despite the probability of automation, according to that study. Tips for implementing a lead flow program that doesn't stop when you sleep. Simple strategies for maximizing your exposure and diversifying lead gen. And I'm going to give you some apps and tools that you can start using today if you're not already, and then give you some ideas for streamlining your lead generation tasks and increasing your productivity. And then your handout has some thought-provoking questions that will leave you hopefully thinking about your own business. So I am Melissa Zavala. A lot of you may know me already, and I am in North San Diego County. I'm a broker, an author, and a trainer. And you can read my blog at melissazavala.com. I also contribute for The Real Daily and previously to the Trulia.com Pro, and you can buy my products, which are just books and things, on Amazon. You can email me either at info@melissazavala.com or to my personal email is melissa@melissazavala.com. And for those of you that have come on since we started, thanks so much for showing up. Make sure to grab that handout on with the link on the right side. And if you have any questions or issues, try and chat with me on the side. And I say try because I may not get to your response immediately, but I will definitely before the end of the webinar. So what Frey and Osborne said in that study, and what we need to consider, is that the way to stay relevant and important in a changing world, as we said, is to provide value. But what they found is that they use these words: manipulation, creativity, and social perception is how we provide value. So for example, you could see like the attorney was 3.5% probability that they would be automated. Very, very low, because people need them to go to court and fight for solve problems. For example, massage therapist, chiropractor, yoga teacher, those things had very low probabilities of automation. So we need to figure out ways that in our job, in dealing with the public and selling property or representing buyers, we provide manipulation, creativity, and social perception. So that's underlying all the tips for lead gen that I'm going to provide, is this idea of how can I be unique? How can I be that, what do you want to say, chiropractor or massage therapist in the field of real estate? So when I talk about a lead today, I'm talking about a person who shows interest and provides his or her contact information. So very simple. Some people would call that an inquiry, but I'm calling that a lead. And for example, I'm talking about these people down here. So if you've read The 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Mayer, then he's got these great levels and how you provide impact. Obviously, you can provide more impact and be more influential once you know people. So that would be one-on-one meetings, events and seminars, phone calls, handwritten. So I'm really focusing primarily on this part down here. So electronic communication, direct mail, and advertising, and generating the leads that show up in this bottom section. And then in a subsequent webinar, for the feedback I got from the Pipeline Planner launch team is that lead conversion, they want to hear about that in March. So then we'll be talking about once you've grabbed all this stuff. So by then, if you've implemented some of these techniques, we'll talk about how to convert it into this more direct one-on-one meetings. Well, so here's 6 steps to successful lead gen in 2016 and beyond. Well, the first one is you need to utilize multiple channels. So, oh my gosh, look how many channels there are. There are more than I'm listing here, but these are the kind of channels where we need to be. We are stretched so thin as real estate professionals because we need to be all of these places at once, plus representing buyers and sellers, dealing with problems, things like that. So we need to be on Facebook. We need to be on Twitter. We need to be on Instagram, Google Plus, and Pinterest now, LinkedIn. We need to write blogs and articles. We need to have videos on YouTube or Vimeo. We need to have reviews all over the place because everyone's looking at reviews, referral sites, guest blogs, and expert quotes, and pay-per-click advertising. Because you know, you've got these people that are looking in organic search and you've got these people in the pay-per-click. So for guest blogs and expert quotes, that's something that I'm not really going to talk about today, but what I mean by that is try to get other people to mention your services in their articles. And so then they'll have a link back to your website or to your LinkedIn or to your social media profile. So you'll get a lot of tracking from that, and that will increase your credibility. And one place that that can be done effectively is through something called HARO, H-A-R-O. It stands for Help a Reporter Out. And so if you hang up in 5 minutes, if you're not going to listen to anything else for the rest of the webinar, you need to go to HARO, and I think it's haro.net, or Help a Report. So just Google HARO, H-A-R-O, sign up. And what happens is 3 times a day, you will get a list of all of these journalists and people throughout the United States, writers and things that are looking for an expert. So there may be something that says, looking for a real estate, I'm getting some, let's see. Okay, some people are saying they lost me. A handful of people said they lost me. Am I still here? Yikes. Ooh, no good. Let me know if I'm still here. Okay, so some people say they can still hear me. Hopefully for those of you that, I'm going to message everyone and let them know. Okay. Okay, sounds like everyone can hear me. Okay, sorry about that. Not sure about what happened there. Hopefully it won't happen again. Okay, so for those of you that didn't hear that, you've got to get on HARO, H-A-R-O, and what you've got to sign up, because you're going to see these inquiries for experts, for real estate experts. And then when you see the inquiry, you can respond to it, and then you've got these newspapers throughout the United States and sometimes beyond that will quote you. And if you can get a number of those, that will increase your expertise. So when you do lead gen, it helps to have a lot of those. That's not something I'm going to talk about the rest of the webinar, but if you please just write that down and go sign up for HARO. I guarantee you'll get a few quotes this year, which will really help you. You know, media quotes, which will really, you can show them to people, and it makes you look very trustworthy, really improve your lead gen. So these are all the places that we need to be with lead generation. Of course, social media is very important, but you know, if you go to Facebook, you could be on Facebook like for hours. You could just get lost, or you could be on Twitter for hours, or Instagram. So how do we get this all done? And I'm going to give you some tips and some ideas for how to do that in a little while, so that we're not on there and we're not sucked in for hours every day. But there are some things that you need to consider with all of those channels, and it would be a demographic, posting time, and advertising or marketing schedule. So for those of you that are messaging me that you try and get back on again or log in again. It sounds like most everyone can hear me now. I'm not sure what happened. So with posting time, if you could believe it, there are very specific times. There's been algorithms and studies done of the very specific times where you can get the most interaction on each of the social media channels. So you've got to be able to plan your day according to that. And then demographic, meaning, you know, Instagram's going to have a more youthful demographic than maybe LinkedIn. So you've got to consider that as well. And then your advertising or marketing channel, marketing schedule. So then you've got to plan like what time you want to be for each social media channel. Okay, I'm still getting these crazy messages from everybody. Okay, Judy says she's back on now. So I'm going to try and, everybody, I hope you understand. Just, I don't know why it's disconnecting. It may be something glitch with Webinar Jam. Just reconnect back on, just refresh your screen. So, and that may be it. Maybe your screen goes to sleep or something like that. So please consider those things with social media. Now, just a few food for thought. Twitter. People spend 4 times more time on Tumblr and Pinterest than they do on Twitter. YouTube, 77% of businesses use YouTube for marketing purposes. 66% of internet marketers utilize video to reach their audience. Video is huge. And the other day, what I found, so yes, it does differ from site to site, but the other day I asked our private Facebook group with 150 agents, I asked you, who has a rockin' YouTube site that you could share where you're getting a lot of traffic? And nobody responded. So I don't know if you were ignoring me or if you don't have a rockin' YouTube site. So there may be some way to tap into that for yourself, get some traction in video. And then Pinterest. Pinterest is like crazy. Pinterest is the third most popular social network in the United States in terms of traffic generated. And I'm going to skip down to the bottom and say Americans spend an average of 97.8 minutes on Pinterest, which is totally crazy. 97.8 minutes on Pinterest. So per day. And what is the prototype of the person that's on Pinterest? I like to call them ladies who lunch. So these are a lot of people that have time. Maybe they're moms with children at home that aren't working right now, and they're perusing fashion and they're looking at different things. And so these are people that are probably going to be pretty well qualified to buy real estate, right? Or to sell. So Pinterest is a great place to be. So you definitely have to have a plan for these sites that you decide you're going to use. So the first question, which is on your handout, so take some little while to explore that, you know, internally at your convenience, is which channels do I currently use to generate leads? And which ones will I use in the future? I mean, nobody's perfect. You can't, just because I had that tower with like a list of 15 different ones, doesn't mean you have to use them all. Just explore which ones you're currently using, and can you add a few, or do you want to change a few? You know, which ones are the money makers for you? If you kind of track back for the year, did you get a few leads from Facebook? If you did, then of course you do not want to eliminate Facebook from your bag of tricks. So that's something that you need to explore, and that's the first question on the handout. And the second thing is, in addition to having the multiple the multiple channels, you're going to want to work multiple target markets. So these are some target markets that you might be already working or you may want to consider. Neighborhood farm, sphere of influence, referral database, first-time buyers, divorce, probate, empty nesters, short sales and foreclosures, you know, that's kind of changing a bit, expireds and for sale by owners, 1031 exchange. So these are just a number of target markets. And then when you pick your target market, you need to figure out, how am I going to target these people and get in front of these people? So you need to utilize multiple channels and multiple target markets. So let's say you want to do your neighborhood farm, you may want to send them postcards or a flyer. But you could probably also target your neighborhood farm on Facebook, or you can because you can target certain groups on Facebook, or if you have emails, you can target specific emails on Facebook for advertising purposes. So there's all sorts of ways to kind of use multiple channels to target the same group. And so that's something you need to consider. If you're just targeting, I mean, there are some limitations. If you don't know someone and you don't have their email address yet, then you're kind of limited. You can door knock them, or maybe you can send them a mailer, but you're a little more limited in how you can communicate with them. If you don't have a phone number and an email, but the more information you have, you can start targeting them in a number of ways. So I don't know if you know this, but you can take a list of emails and you can upload it into Facebook, and it will go through the emails and try and match them with a Facebook account. So what happens is, like, for example, I took 500 emails and I uploaded them into Facebook, and it found the 300 Facebook accounts for those 500 emails. So 200 it couldn't match, but of the 300, I could then create an ad which would be on their feed and would just target those people. And this is amazing. If you have like a seller, you want to get let's say you go on an interview for a listing, and they're like 2 months out, and you have their email. You can, if you're not friends with them on Facebook, you can upload their email and you can create an ad that targets that one seller. And so it's on their feed, and they have no idea it's not on anybody else's feed. So if you want to kind of provide the perception that you are the neighborhood expert and you are everywhere, then you can just target that one seller, and it will just be on that one seller's Facebook feed. So those of you asking, is this all in the handout? The handout only has a thought-provoking questions, and for those of you that missed at the beginning, the slides are available at slideshare.net/Melissa Zavala, and you can you'll get a recorded version of a replay of the webinar with all of the little glitches. You'll hear that as well a couple of hours after the webinar is over. So really, you've got to figure out what target markets am I going to work, and again, what channels am I going to use. So there are some current lead generation trends that a lot of people are using right now. Does it mean you have to use them? No, you should use what works for you, not because your friends are doing it. You learned that in high school, I'm sure. So seller lead capture sites, very, very hot to have a seller lead capture site. So that's like a landing page where a seller put like home value leads, bold leads, leads to listings. There's tons and tons of them, but it creates a landing page. Seller puts in their address, they get a home valuation, you get the email address, you find out about the inquiry. And then a lot of people do that on Facebook, and then they can, if they advertise it on Facebook and they track their neighborhood or their city or whatever, then they'll get some leads from prospective sellers, people that are looking in their home at their home value in their neighborhood. What I found is that varies, the success rate on Facebook for that varies depending upon the time of year and also depending upon the region. In San Diego, we've had, the last year, it seemed that so many agents were doing that. There was more limited ability to capture than there had been previously. But I talked with an agent in Nashville that was killing it with that. And of course, spoke with another agent in San Francisco that says, yes, it only works from Thursday to Saturday. So that's what you need to do. Again, for those that are often on losing me, I think maybe your computer goes to sleep and it disconnects the internet. So just click refresh, try and log back in, and you should be here again. And I guess I'm not going to message that out again, but log back in. Not sure what happened. That's what I said before. So another big hot trend is pay-per-click sites. So Commissions Inc. is huge. Tiger Leads, Zerple, Conversion. So what happens is they give you a huge, robust portal backend site, and it's through paper. So through pay-per-click, let's say they're doing Carlsbad Homes for sale. So if someone types in Carlsbad Homes for sale in the paid search, your ad will appear, and if a prospective buyer clicks on it, of course it's captured, it goes into your portal. These are very costly, and if you're using that system, it definitely is very beneficial if you're getting a lot of leads to have an ISA, an inside sales agent, who is working on that for you. So what an inside sales agent does is receives the leads and then calls right away, is responsible for all of the dialing, because obviously when you're out in the field, it's difficult to be dialing and also converting and also doing all the things that you need to do. So very trendy right now to have an inside sales agent or an inside salesperson. And then there's something called a dialer. And this is really interesting because I finalized the webinar last week. And then just last night, I saw an article, I guess there's some laws with the FCC about using these dialers. So they're called like robo dialers or moto dialers, and you can learn about them from like RedX and Land Voice, and I think one's called Vulcan 7 or Vortex 7. And if any of you are using them, can you message me and give me the names, because I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. But basically, there's all this kind of, if you're calling using a dialing system and they end up on the do not call list, I guess there's some huge fines and things like that. But what the dialer does is it dials up like 3 people at once. And then if one picks up, then it cuts off the other 2, so that it just keeps you speed dialing. So if you have 100 numbers, you can dial 100 people in like 30 minutes and leave messages or talk to them, things like that. Big data is huge. So looking for trends, geo-trafficking, geocaching, there are certain products that can look at the data and see what neighborhoods have higher turnover rates. So if you have the ability in your state to work with a local title representative or title salesperson, and not every state has that kind of intense relationship where you get that kind of support from title. But if title can examine for you the turnover rates in specific neighborhood farms, obviously it's better to work in one with a slightly higher turnover rate, because then of course you'll have a higher probability of getting listings and sales in that area. And let's see, expireds, of course, working expireds is very trendy, and for sale by owners. And I heard an interesting statistic that said that you're like 68% more likely to get in front of a FISPO than you are an expired, which seems pretty obvious, because for sale by owners, even though they quote unquote don't like realtors or hate realtors, they're going to want to talk to you because you may have a buyer for their house. So these are kind of current trends that some people are using. Maybe some of you are using them, and certainly would love to hear which ones are working for you there. So question 2 is, what markets do I currently target? Do I target first-time home buyers? Do I target a neighborhood farm? Do I target probate? Do I target, pre-foreclosure? What are your target markets? Sphere of influence. If you're a strict Buffini person, you're probably primarily targeting people you already know. And which markets will I target in the future? So that's the second consideration that you need to address when you're creating like a lead gen master plan for the year. Okay. And the third thing that you need to explore is a content strategy. And it is a strategy like a chess game. So you need to make a long-term plan for each individual target market. So if you took a second and wrote down first-time home buyers as a target market, now you have to have a plan for first-time home buyers. And which channels is that plan going to include? Is it going to include some of the social media channels? Is it going to include purely like mail? What is it going to be that you're going to do? So you've got to first identify your target markets, and then you've got to figure out, what that plan is going to be. So this is a list of the target markets. It's pretty much the same one I showed you a minute ago, but it comes, I believe, from the business plan, which was a free download around the new year. So, and then once you've picked your group, let's just say, as an example, let's pick first-time home buyers, since I already said that. You need to think about this. What's in it for the first-time home buyer? What would make the first-time home buyer want to talk to you? Okay. What would intrigue them? What would get them interested in calling you? All right, or going to your website? What is unique about your offering? Because people, especially when they don't know you yet, and remember, we're talking about those people on the bottom tier of Michael Mayer's, that pyramid we were looking at. So they don't know you yet. So you need to intrigue them by offering them something, because I've heard this one saying, people listen to WIIFM. What's in it for me radio? Okay, so you need to consider what is in it for them, and that's what you need to offer. So, for example, maybe you have a report that shows an infographic of, the best loans available for first-time home buyers, or things, how to select a realtor if you're going to be buying your first house, why you need a realtor in addition to social media. I mean, whatever your little thing is, you need to create it as what I would call an item of value. So that could be a little white paper, it could be an infographic, a little brochure. You can actually take that same content and use it in the multiple places. So you can create that item of value, and then you can offer it as a report which people download. You can mail it out. You've got to think about what that is. So then you're going to offer your item on multiple channels. Remember, we looked at the channels at the beginning. So you go to LinkedIn, and you go to Facebook, and you go to all these places, and you tell them about your item of value, because all the different channels. So you've got all of those, people from all of those different areas looking for your item of value. And then your target market will see the item and hopefully request it. And then you provide the item, you capture the lead, and then you follow up with regular communication. So where we oftentimes have a challenge is in regular communication and conversion. So this is something we're not going to talk about too much today, but we're going to talk about more this component, offering it on multiple channels, how did people request it, and of course, how to capture the lead. But the whole point is you got to think what people want. So when short sales were going like gangbusters, like around 2010, lots of banks were offering, not lots of banks, 3 in particular, were offering up to $30,000 to a seller that sold their home in a short sale. Great marketing piece. Did you know that some banks are paying up to $30,000 for people who sell their home as a short sale? So at the time, that really got the phone to ring, right? Because what's in it for me? Perfect example. What's in it for you? Maybe I'm going to get $30,000. So that works really, really well. So think about what's in it for your target market. So benefits versus features. So when you create that what's in it for me piece of material, you need to think, these are the benefits. These are the things that people want to hear about. They want to hear about saving money. They want to hear about earning money. They want to hear about saving time. They want to hear about increased visibility. So sellers want to know how you are going to increase the visibility of their home, for example, using your service. Convenience, immediacy, customization, and exclusivity. And I heard a great point. I was listening to something last week, and I heard a really great point, which was with regard to cost. So of course, people want to save money, but when all people give away money when they've got nothing else to offer. There's lots of articles written about that. But the perfect example of why you shouldn't be giving away money is that people still buy Advil, even though you can buy the generic one for so much less. So people still see the value of Advil, despite the fact that generic ones are available that would save them money. And Advil is, of course, still on the market. So if you consider yourself as Advil and you can offer all of these benefits, or all of these things that showcase your service and why it's so special, and also provide them with value at the same time, you will really go a long way towards creating a large sales pipeline. So features are things you don't want to advertise. So those would be like if you speak 4 languages, if you went to a special college. People don't care about that yet. In the initial meeting, they're only caring about them. Of course, when you get to know them better, they might like to know that you have a lot of experience in real estate and you've got these great negotiation skills. But right now at the beginning, they want to hear about how connecting with you is going to benefit them. And then the delivery of the items of value would be booklets, reports, lists of local deals, and all of this can be automated, really. Free photos of your property, a free video of your property, even a gift card. So people are, there are all sorts of items of value that you can offer. So question of 3 of 6 is, which items of value can I offer each target market? So as you're developing your content strategy for lead generation, you need to think, okay, I've selected these target markets. What am I going to offer each market? And of course, then you've got to create it or hire someone to create it. So a few more tips to that end is if you're creating your own stuff, or if you've hired someone to create some stuff for you, or if you're working with someone at your office to help you with that, what everyone ought to know about, the truth about, 5 surefire ways to, spicy, words like that, what I'm calling magnetic headlines, go a really long way towards getting engagement and capture. So if you go to Copy Blogger or CoSchedule, I've noted them down here at the bottom. CoSchedule actually has a headline analyzer where you can type in your headline and it will give you like A, B, C, D, F grade on how engaging it is, the likelihood that people are going to get excited about it, a capture. And Copy Blogger has a bunch of information about how to write headlines or even subject lines for emails that will get people to click and open them. Very, very helpful. Okay. Also remember a strong call to action. So sometimes my best example of this is that I sometimes get postcards in the mail from people that you know, new listings in the neighborhood, things like that, other agents, and then I look at them, and sometimes it's just like, okay, I have this listing, it's 700,000, here's a pretty picture. It doesn't say call me today, or you know, like this one, I have more, or want to know how much your home is worth, call me right now. You know, whatever it is, you've got to have a call to action. If it's just like, yeah, this is my house that I'm selling, you know, that's good. I mean, it's pretty, but you might, if you want to get engagement, you have to capture. And if you also if you want to send people to a website, that's even better, because then if you're doing like a postcard, you don't know, you know, people look at it for 2 seconds and they throw it in the trash a lot of times. So if you can get them to log into a website and give their information to get something, then you have a stronger likelihood of creating the relationship in the future. So here are some tools that kind of associate with some of the stuff I've mentioned already. So remember, tips and tools to help you with your items of value would be infographics. So there are like some programs online to create infographics. Something really cool is that you can actually go to Pinterest and search for real estate infographics and get some ideas about what other people are doing. If you happen to be in California, I know that our association website has something called One Cool Thing that has some infographics that you can use and share as your own content. Then, of course, Keeping Current matters. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but that's a small monthly fee and you get all of the stuff, content that you can share with buyers and sellers, reports, infographics, even interesting blog articles and things like that. And videos, if you want to create a nice YouTube channel or improve your YouTube channel, I would make some videos about different, you know, neighborhoods that you focus on, or think about the things that certain groups want to know about, and then name your video with rich headline with keywords, so that people that are, you know, kind of typing in YouTube will land on your video. Microsoft Word has some really great PDF templates that if you're writing your own content, you can just throw it in one of those and save it as a PDF, and they look really, really nice. You can add your picture, things like that. Canva, I've talked about that in previous webinars. You can create a free account there, and they have some really, really sweet looking layouts and things like that for putting in your own content. And if you want to hire someone to do something, I like Fiverr. Fiverr's really great. If you're not familiar with it, you can get people to do just about anything for $5. Obviously, if you want them to create a whole layout for a brochure, it may be more like 10 or 20, but possibly cheaper than hiring the local graphic designer. If you're willing to take the risk, it's only 20 bucks. So obviously, if they do a good job, then you've got someone on lock. And then hiring a virtual assistant, either inside or outside of the United States, something you can explore. So those are kind of some of the places which you can kind of look at to see about creating items of value. And then step 4, once you've created your item of value, you need to cross-promote it. And what that means is that you need to promote your item across multiple channels, both on and offline. So you're promoting your channels on other channels. And so here's an interesting tip, if you've ever seen this. And anything that you look at online, you know, of course, you've seen that you can click on Facebook, Twitter, you know, send an email, things like that. If you have social sharing links on an article, you will increase the click-through rates, or on anything, by 150%. So for example, if you're creating a newsletter of some sort in MailChimp or Constant Contact or one of those products, make sure to add your social sharing buttons so that you can have your people working for you sharing your content. Definitely want to do that. So the cross promotion cycle is the prospect's going to see your item of value on one of multiple channels. So maybe I'm going to see your offer of an ebook on Facebook, and I'm going to visit the landing page where the item is offered. I'm going to sign up, and I'm going to receive the item, as I mentioned earlier, and then I'm going to have, as the agent, I'm going to have the email. And then hopefully, if you set this up well, the prospect will subsequently receive lots and lots of auto-generated emails from the agent. So if this is all automated, you only have to do it once, and then, you know, check into it periodically and see who's logging in and stuff like that. You don't have to say, oh, it's been 3 days, I need to follow up. It's all happening behind the scenes in an automated manner. So what cross-promotional channels or methods will I employ for each item of value? So basically, what did you create and where are you going to put it online, and how are you going to get people, you know, what different ways are you going to get people to your item of value? You're going to want to try and put it in lots of different places. So the tools that can help you with that, so lead pages, bold leads, I mentioned those already as places where you can create landing pages, home value leads, landing page. MailChimp and Constant Contact and Infusionsoft are robust. All of those are very robust, kind of like email newsletter sites. And Infusionsoft is the most sophisticated and the most expensive of the three. I personally use MailChimp. A lot of people I know use Constant Contact. But so for MailChimp, you can get a free account. And if you have up to 2,000 people on your list, then there is no charge for your account. You can send up to 12,000 emails a month to up to 2,000 people and still be free. However, if you want to employ the autoresponders, what that means is if you want to set up all of those automated follow-up emails, then that's when you have to start to pay. But if I recall, it is not a lot of money, $20 or $30 a month possibly, in order to get those features. And it's based on the number of people that you have on your list. So definitely you may want, you can look at that. And the way they do it is they actually give you a landing. You don't have to go and create your own landing page. If you create the text in MailChimp, they'll give you kind of like a domain for that landing page, and when people go sign up, and then you create all of these, like you create the thank you email when you create the landing page. And so then it says, thank you for your interest in my ebook, and click here for the link to my ebook. And so they can get that. And then you create the autoresponder, which says something like, send this autoresponder 3 days after a person clicks on the link to the ebook. And so it just creates this. You can do like 12 or 15 is a good number of autoresponders, and they go out over like a month or 2 months to the same person. So you can really maintain top of mind awareness in that way. Thanks. I'm just catching up on my comments. And another dialer is Mojo. Forgot about that one. Thanks, Donna. So these are some great sources for creating your cross-promotion strategies. Now, number 5 is to develop a regimented system for handling everything. And I just thought this picture was kind of, look at it, if this is real. Do you think that this cat always goes into number 7? I don't know. Very interesting. So organizing is what you do before you do something, so that when you do it, it's not all mixed up. Some of us are more organized than others. It's a lot. We real estate agents have so much on their plates. Nobody, until they're in the thick of it, really understands all the things that we do. Of course, clients unfortunately don't usually understand how hard it is to be a real estate professional. But what I found truly is what I mentioned at the very, very beginning before a lot of you got on the line, is that if you focus on process over outcome, if you really focus on your regular regimented routine and not, am I meeting my goals, am I meeting my goals, just did I do my Tuesday activity, today's Tuesday, or did I do my Wednesday activity, or did I program my regular newsletter like I always do on Fridays, whatever it is. If you do it over and over and over, stuff happens and your outcomes will occur. But if you get so fixated on, oh my God, I didn't get the listing, then you're going to kind of lose that momentum that you build by focusing on your process. So you've got to develop a system that works for you. This just happens to be a page from the Essential Daily Plan for Real Estate Agents. But any system that you have that works for you, definitely just develop one and stick to it. So the other thing that I think is really hard for real estate professionals is that it is so hard to balance the time that we spend working on our business and in our business. So by in the business, I mean going to inspections, writing contracts, showing property, solving transaction nightmares, you know, between buyer and seller, between the agents, whatever. But you also have to work on your business. And that's the time that you spend generating the leads, posting to social media sites, writing articles, like I said, going on Haro and trying to get, get quoted by other newspapers, things like that. So you definitely need to kind of find your balance or your sweet spot for doing both of those things. So the best way I think to do that is really to create a calendar. I mean, I know it's for some people calendars like wishful thinking, but if you can kind of regularly do the same things at the same time during the week, then it does become like a habit and it works really, really well. So for me, on a very personal level, a long time ago, when my kids, now one's a senior in high school and one's way out of high school, but originally what happened was on Fridays, they were getting dismissed from school at 12:45. And so my office is not around the block from my house. It's about 25 minutes away. So I found that if I got to the office at 9:30, and then I had to be back to pick them up at 12:45 because they were like in elementary, it just wasn't productive. So I started staying home on Fridays. And of course, I'm talking about staying home on Fridays like 15 years ago, right? So on Fridays, that became the day that I thought, oh, this is great. I can write my blog posts for next week. I can program my newsletters for next week. I can schedule my social media posts for next week. I can do whatever advertising I want to do. Can you believe I don't need to do that anymore, but I still stay home on Fridays in order to get that stuff done because I found that there's less interruptions. So it's just a routine. So if someone wants to have an appointment with me at my office on Friday, I just have to schedule it for Thursday. Say, no, let's just do it Thursday because I've already made this ritual or this habit of staying home on Fridays to get my schedule. So that's working on my business where I work in the business the other, times of the week. And of course, then the benefit is when I walk in the following week, I know that all my lead gen, all my working on my business stuff, I did it the previous Friday. So that's my habit, my routine. So you've got to develop one that works for you and stick to it. And there was like a lot of articles, I think earlier this year about Pop-Tart agents. So you also need to evaluate, are you going to stop dead in your tracks and run out the door to show a property because you got a Zillow lead that wants to see a property in 5 minutes and you don't know who they are, you don't know if they're qualified? You've got to kind of evaluate what your position is on that as well. So definitely calendar your lead generation activities. Try to stick to a regular schedule, develop a routine. As you see, I told you I had a routine, but I also told you it took me kind of 15 years to develop that habit. So it doesn't happen overnight. And then you can increase your efficiency with tools like Hootsuite and Buffer. And there are several other ones as well. These are just happen to be the ones I'm mentioning today. So you can pre-schedule some or all of your social media posting to many of those different sites that I mentioned, Twitter, even Instagram, Facebook, Google+, through Hootsuite and Buffer. And I wouldn't do all of it, but I think if you can do some of it, then you can pepper in your kind of snarky remarks and cool comments and your open house posts or whatever you want. But at least like if you forget one day to do something or you don't get on social media, you know that it's done for the week, that you do have a social media presence. And that's where you would also include your stuff, about that sends back to your items of value. But you definitely want to not overstep. You don't want to be like shouting all the time, real estate, real estate, real estate, but you want to offer other items of value, maybe articles that you haven't, or funny pictures that you've seen of houses, or articles that you've read about real estate that you think your community might be interested in, or articles or feelings that you have about other things. If you can post some pictures of your grandkids, your dog, mention your hobbies, things like that, those are the things that do get a lot of traction, often a lot more than the real estate stuff. So I know for me, like whenever I post something about one of my sons and his success in skateboarding, I always seem to get like 200 likes, and then I might have something else and, less people seem to care about that. So just, carefully craft and consider what you're going to be posting in those spots. So question 5 is, what specific time of day or week will I allocate to my lead generation activities? So please consider that carefully. And, I can only tell you that it works for me, and I hope it will work for you, but you definitely need to implement that discipline. So tools that can help you succeed, Hootsuite in that arena would be Hootsuite, Buffer, Sunrise Calendar, Todoist. That's like a project a list program, and Wunderlist. Those are 2 really great ones. You can share lists with people. CRMs. And I really like WordPress. So if you have a blog and you have it on WordPress, it's really great because you can write your articles in advance and you can schedule them. So if I'm going on a family vacation or something, I'm definitely writing my articles before I leave, and I'm putting out, putting on there the date and the time that I want them to post. So anything that has a scheduling mechanism is really, really good for keeping you organized and on task with your lead generation activities. And then step 6, and the last one that I'm really going to be speaking about today, is tracking results. You have to be able to track your results so that you can see what's working, what's not. And I'm so proud of one of the people that I believe is on the phone right now, because she came to me yesterday. She looked at how she spent her money last year, and she saw that she overspent on postcards. And when she divided it out, she saw that it was like, the number of leads she got to the amount of money she spent on her postcard program, it just was too much, and she could spend the money better. And so it really helps to track those results so that you can see that. So you want to collect the data. You want to use social media monitoring or Google Analytics if you can. And just know that only 45% of marketing CEOs actually know their results. So if you want to be a marketing CEO, we want you to definitely be in the other 55%. So this is actually from MailChimp, just so you know, if you've never looked at your results before, what something might look like. So this is pretty old, but it's just a screenshot. I sent an email to 1,358 people. I got an open rate of 38.5%, and I got a click rate of 2.4%. So in real estate, I believe the average open rate is like 22%. So that would be your target. So I did pretty well on this one. And the report will actually go down more detailed, and it will show me which subscribers opened it, how many times they opened it. Here it shows me how many bounced. So if you're experimenting with different subject lines, different things like that, you can see if it impacts your open rate, your click rate, things like that. One thing that I noticed is if I put a margin, what I would call a marginal swear. So if I use the word sucks or stinks, or I don't know, I don't want to say blows, but I don't know what ones I've tried. I definitely get more opens and more clicks, but I also get usually 1 or 2 people that are offended by my language. So you have to decide if you want to take that risk or not. So racy or somewhat marginally racy stuff can improve your click-throughs. So how do I track my results, and how can I track my results better in the future? So Facebook does a really nice job of showing you kind of your analytics, and Google Analytics also does. So if you can link the Google Analytics to your website, then you can see how many clicks you're getting, from different parts of the United States every day, and which pages are getting the most clicks, things like that. So that works really well. And even in the back end of WordPress, if you have a WordPress site, you can link it to your Google Analytics, so your dashboard, your results show up right in when you log in to your website. So that's kind of cool, because you can see, oh, that article I have more traction on. I once had an article, this was for the Short Sale Expediter site, where I wrote about how there was a big settlement, and 4.2 million homeowners across the US were going to be getting checks from their banks. And that article had 25,000 hits in like a 1-week period. It was tracking higher than the press release from the government on the same issue. Now I've not been able to repeat that, but the only way I knew that is by logging into WordPress and saying, wow, a very popular article that week. So you might find that somebody might see your article, they might call you for a quote. This is what the great thing about the internet, it equalizes, real estate professionals that work on their own and big companies. And also, somebody might write another article and link to your website, which is great for search engine optimization and things like that. And you definitely want to monitor that search engine optimization. So there are 4 billion online searches every day on Google. 75% of the users only look at the first few results. So your goal is to get onto page 1 of Google of the organic search results, and 10.3 billion Google searches monthly. So you want to get on Google+. So if you want to improve your probability of whatever you do showing up on page 1 of Google, you need to create a Google+ account if you don't have one already. So if you don't use Gmail, in order to do that, you do need to create a Gmail account. But remember, if you go on Alexa, and that analyzes and ranks all of the websites, all of them, It said Google is #1 most highly trafficked site in the world. And I believe YouTube is second, and YouTube is owned by Google. All right. So you definitely want to be in both YouTube and Google to show up in the Google search results. And of course, YouTube gets tons and tons of traffic on its own. And then when you write, and you're thinking, well, how can I get on page 1 of Google? There are so many agents for example, for me in San Diego. There's so many agents in San Diego. How can I get on page 1 of Google? Because when people search like San Diego homes for sale, there's going to be tons of stuff. Or San Diego real estate agents, there's going to be tons of people showing up. And the answer to that is to consider what's called the long tail. So what the long tail is what they found, and the book is actually called The Long Tail by Chris Anderson. And what they found is that people that search more specific stuff, there are less searchers, but they are much further along in the buying process. So as you consider your item of value, what you're targeting, who's your audience, what your social media channels are, consider, instead of saying, for my example, San Diego real estate agents or San Diego homes for sale, consider going super local. So for me, I live in Encinitas, which is a little bit north of San Diego, and I actually live in a community called Encinitas Ranch, where there's like 400 something houses, I think. I'm not exactly sure. But so if I start writing articles like Encinitas Ranch homes for sale, real estate agent in Encinitas Ranch, real estate broker in Encinitas Ranch, then the people that are searching Encinitas Ranch, they already decided that they're going to be looking for a home or selling their home in Encinitas Ranch. So for example, so if that same person, they would start by, they don't know where they want to live in San Diego. Oh, I think I want to live in the north part of San Diego. Oh, I want to live in Encinitas. Oh, I really like the homes in Encinitas Ranch. So if they're already searching Encinitas Ranch, they're very close to the money. They're very close to the buy. So consider, as if you don't have a strong internet presence already, creating a presence through long tail searches. And the way that we did that for our real estate brokerage, my real estate brokerage, is we did it on YouTube by making a list of a bunch of communities that we service and creating a local video about each community. And if you want to see those, they've been up for like 3 or 4 years. You can just look at the Broadpoint Properties YouTube channel, and they're not like super great. I mean, we did them on iMovie. They're not fabulous, but they do get clicks, and we have gotten buys from them because people have decided already that they want to live in those very specific communities. So consider the long tail as a way to get on page 1 of Google. So to review, so we are wrapping up just in a minute. Your real estate lead gen and marketing system must sell your benefits, not your features. Remember, your features is like the languages you speak, the college you went to, not something people care about right now. They want to know what's in it for them. You need to offer something of value. You need to capture the leads in a systematized manner. So we talked a little bit about using MailChimp and landing pages for doing that. And then, of course, remember that study, that Frey and Osborne study with the Bloomberg graphic, which is you need to demonstrate your ability to navigate, your uniqueness, and your ability to enhance a person's experience through social connections. That's the way that those massage therapists, those chiropractors that I mentioned at the beginning, that's the way that they're going. That's why they're not going to be defeated by automation. So you need to really work on, you know, what's special about you that they can't get from Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, internet, things like that. So remember, you need to consider, what is my target market? How am I going to send? What am I going to send that is going to provide value to my target market? By what means am I going to provide that value? How often will I communicate? And how will I cross promote? So if you ask yourself those questions for each target market, I think will really help you to create a very robust lead generation master plan. It's not quick. I mean, I didn't give you the answer, how to do it, the recipe. I give you like the recipe. Now you got to cook it up yourself with your own ingredients, I guess would be the best way to say that. So you got to calendar everything right now, definitely, so that, you know, you won't be, your probability of automation will be very, very low. So that's definitely what we want to do here. So remember that, and that report from Frey and Osborne said that the way to stay relevant in a changing world is through manipulation, creativity, and social perception. So you need to consider, which is the last question on your handout, how is what I offer unique? What sets me apart from the agents around me? So if you take your pen to that piece of paper right now and you write down, I'm honest, I'm professional, and I have experience, I can tell you that if I gave that paper to other agents in your office, they'd probably write the same thing. So you need to think a little more specifically about how you differentiate yourself, and then try and put that in to your grand master plan for lead generation. So it's going to take some soul searching. I think it will for some people. So a good lead generation system equals success. So today and the time we've had together, I went over like so much stuff, and each thing could probably be a whole 1 hour or 2 hour webinar by itself. And we did have some glitches, so I'm really, really sorry about the technology stuff, but I just want to remind you that you will get the replay in a few hours as a link. And so fast forward through me working through the glitches, and that you'll get to hear that. And again, the slides are available on SlideShare. There are a number of questions that I haven't answered yet, so what I'm going to do is just fast forward to my contact information in case anyone wants to email me afterwards. And in the meantime, and those of you in the Pipeline Planner launch team, if you've made any notes, hang tight with your notes, because you're going to get a link on the Facebook group to provide some feedback on things that you liked, things that you didn't like, stuff like that. And those of you that are curious about what the Pipeline Planner is, I'm excited to mention today that later this year, I'm going to be launching a brand new leather-bound real estate planner, which is like a daily planner for real estate agents. And there's going to be some companion materials, a whole workbook that helps you kind of walk through and create some of the things that I kind of talked about in an overview format today. So like how to create a MailChimp campaign for your past clients and things like that. So there are a number of people on the line that are in the Pipeline Planner Launch Team Facebook group. If you really are interested in joining the group, email me and we'll see if there is a space for you. So right now I'm going to go to the questions. For those of you, it is 11:01, so I'm trying to wrap up. For those of you that are still on the line and want to hang out while I answer the questions, that's great. And for the rest of you, thank you so much for joining me today, and just wish you all the best in 2016, and hope that you have a super year in real estate. So here I go. Let me run through these. Okay. So yes, the slides will be available after the webinar, slideshare.net/Melissa Zavala. And again, there's a replay also if you want to listen to my voice again. Sorry about, there's a lot of stuff about how we got disconnected. Let's see. Okay, somebody's asking about Pinterest. What would people use Pinterest for? So what do you like looking for on Pinterest? Mostly, if the target is women, they like looking at, layouts of houses and staging. And so you can have, so if you're I use the example of Encinitas, if you're the Encinitas real estate expert, then you can create a whole bunch of pins on lovely homes in Encinitas. So if you create a pin for each local community, a pin with real estate information, things like that. You just want exposure. You're just creating exposure for stuff. And of course, your pin can go back to something on your website. Just put in a nice big image on Pinterest. So, okay, slides again, slideshare.net/my name, Melissa Zavala. The books that are available on Amazon is a book which is a collection of blog posts about what you can learn from a bad market. It's called Been There, Done That, and How It Can Make You a Better Real Estate Agent. And the other one is The Essential Daily Planner for Real Estate Agents. Oh, this is a great question. Is there a specific place on Facebook to input email addresses? So what you do is if you're creating a Facebook ad, it says upload custom audience or use custom audience. And for that, you want to, that's where you would upload your Excel spreadsheet with your email. So that was, remember when I said, if you want to customize your ad for a certain group of people. So just know that you're only going to find about 55 to 60% of those emails. So if you're only doing 10 people, you're only probably going to be able to market to 4. Okay, let's see. I think that kind of wraps it up. I'll hang out for a second longer. Again, for those of you still here, thanks again. We still have quite a few people on the line. I'll just hang out a few seconds longer, but for the rest of you, just have a great day. And if you don't hear my voice again, that's because I'm logging off. And again, the replay will be available to you via email in just a few hours. Thanks again. Bye. Oh, Michael's asking me about Haro. There's a free plan. So you don't have to pay for anything, Michael. Just sign up for the free membership and you'll get 3 emails a day from Haro. And then you just look through the list and you see which you want to respond to, or any. Some days there's nothing about real estate. So it is free. So I know they're going to try and sell you something, but you definitely you can do it free. I can tell you every year I get about 6 to 12 things going on there. You know, just from that. Do I have a book on how to use Hootsuite? I don't, but I think I have some tutorials on Hootsuite on my website. If you wouldn't mind just emailing me at info@melissazavala.com or at my personal email, melissa@melissazavala.com, I will link back to you with some instructional materials on Hootsuite. And thank you to everyone saying thank you and goodbye. And I'll just, I guess, hang out a second longer.